In this video, we will be talking about the new phenomena which has been grasping everything over the past few years, is complexity and ambiguity. In my recent visit to the villages of India, and when I interacted with a few farmers, I was surprised to note one thing. They told me that their biggest crop is no more the monsoon season crop, rather their biggest crop is the winter season crop. Now, traditionally, the monsoon crop has always been the largest yield in the country. However, what they told us is that nowadays the monsoons are, the timing has changed. There are delays, then it's not uniform anymore. There are suddenly intense rains and then suddenly no rains at all. So as a result of it, they are finding it very difficult to get yields out of that particular crop. Often there is at times also flooding. Now all of this put together, whatever be their investment in the fertilizers or the seeds, the possibility of that getting washed off is very high in the monsoon season. What they now have started doing is that they have started focusing much more on the winter crop, and as this doesn't have the challenges of the monsoon crop, it has got low rain, but then there is they always have they have dug up a lot of wells, and so as a result of it, from these wells they get their water. Not so easy, expensive, but still. And then whatever be their investment in the form of seeds or fertilizers, they are at least bearing the crop. Now, faced with this, at the same breath, when the farmer said that there is a fundamental change here, they also said that in India, the rising prices of fertilizers because of government subsidy going up and down on this, going rather down on this, and as a result of the price rise, have created a lot of uncertainty for them. Now, because of this rising prices of fertilizers, their whole yield, so the crop has become, producing the crop has become expensive, whereas the market price which they sell to the first middleman hasn't increased substantially. As a result of which, we all can see that their profits go down. The answer, what people are telling them, what their agencies, what the government agencies, everyone is telling them, is that go for higher end or higher value added crops, higher value crops. Now this farmer is really stuck. He doesn't have the capability, he doesn't have the wherewithal. For the last 30 years he has been doing the same crop, and that has given him the yield. Today suddenly he's faced with very many challenges. He has a faltering weather pattern, he has a crop which is not yielding him profit. Suddenly I realized that he has been hit by what we call in business complexity and ambiguity. Now complexity and ambiguity in business, is the way I define it, is a situation when your current knowledge, whatever you know, whatever you have with you, is useless. That current knowledge doesn't help you overcome the particular scenario. Whenever this kind of a scenario happens in business, a business leader should understand that he's now being faced with a complexity and an ambiguity based scenario. Now there are two dimensions to it. So while complexity classically works on the business model, or due to some change, or due to some I would say technology change, or due to some um, fundamental improvement. Uh, for example, just to take an example here, the business model would be a Walmart. Walmart was a business model which changed retailing. Technology change. We know how Amazon using technology changed every aspect of life, and when we talk of um, improvement, we are talking of things like the Toyota production system and how the Toyota production system created a totally disruptive way to work for the auto industry. So all of these can create complexity. However, incumbent players in that particular industry are totally at a loss on how to respond to this whole thing. On the other side is what we call ambiguity. Now, ambiguity is largely internal in nature, and when we are talking of ambiguity, we are looking at internal forces and how the internal organization reacts to it. So ambiguity is largely linked to systems, processes, structures, the knowledge that the company has. All of this has a linkage to ambiguity. When the current systems, processes, knowledge, structure does not respond anymore to the challenges, that is when we say that we have got an ambiguous situation. Now, while complexity is induced from the outside, ambiguity is largely from the inside. Take, for example, an extreme re-engineering that is going on in an organization, or restructuring, or key people quit. So when this happens, it gives rise to a lot of ambiguity in the system. Now, ambiguity also, anything which has a larger business model things can give rise to ambiguity, and internal action of the organization or lack of action or lack of leadership can give rise to ambiguity. What is important is that while we define and we know, as managers, it should be very clear that they are facing a complexity and an ambiguity. Is that a complexity or is it an ambiguity? If it is a complex scenario, complexity-based scenario that they are facing, they should be able to fathom it out, get the new knowledge, and be able to handle this environment. Otherwise, what happens is that faced with a complexity-based scenario, there'll be a lot of rumors which is going on in the organization, and top talent then quits the organization. So then complexity becomes very difficult to handle, because you need your people, you need your knowledge, you need the existing knowledge so that you can know what to change for the future. While you are handling complexity and ambiguity as an organization, as a strategic response, one other thing which is very, very important and has to be kept in mind is the interpersonal dimension to it. Every person cannot handle complexity and ambiguity. So while there might be employees who try to understand the scenario, you'll always have employees who try to flee and employees who try to follow others. Complexity and ambiguity are things which requires very, very strong leadership. These are scenarios where the leaders have to step up and make the organization understand that they are in control. If this is not done, it's not about a person's capability. A very, very capable person might be unable to handle ambiguity and complexity. It happens. So the personal dimension has to be understood. So if one looks at various profiles, one can identify personal profiling tools, one can identify which are the people who are unable to handle complexity and ambiguity, and spend that much more time and do that much more extensive communication, so that organization knows that complexity and ambiguity is being handled and at the leadership level, and people are aware and they need not worry about it, and the new ways of operations as and when they are introduced should be followed, the new business model should be followed, the change in technology that is being adhered, the change in the structures which are being done, and all of this communication should be absolutely clear. Now, While I say that it should be clear, also understand that the stepping stone for handling complexity and ambiguity is to get the new knowledge and not to ignore the trend. So once you get the new knowledge and the leadership team gets together to handle it, they will not face the situation my poor farmer faced here. All the best, because complexity and ambiguity is going to hit you really hard, and that's going to be the next reality in the world of business.